Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Lori McKenzie, Christian mental health therapist, and as promised in my previous video, I shared that I would be getting into more detail about the two areas that most affect our mental health, regardless of our faith. If you're an unbeliever, I'm glad you're here. Please stay. Everything's better with Jesus. If you're searching, keep seeking. You will find. But as believers, yes, our mental health is automatically better knowing Christ. There's a security, a peace, a meaning behind some of our suffering that we can recognize, or we know we will eventually someday. There's such a security, a sense of being loved. And there's a community of believers where we bear one another's burdens. So yes, our mental health is automatically going to be better. But these two areas have a significant impact. You could have two people with a similar faith, and if these two areas are different, their emotional mental health is going to be different. Certainly God can heal things miraculously, and that's kind of a topic for another video, but it often doesn't work that way. He honors our past and our pain and the consequences of how we're parented. So God cares how we're parented, right? And that leads us to the first area. The first area I shared was that affects our mental health is our childhood, our upbringing, how mom and dad treated us or other significant caretakers. Were we given the love, the support, the security we needed to get off to a good start? Or were we subjected to abuse or unpredictable trauma, fighting, drugs and alcohol, terrible things like that? Those make a difference. I mean, how could they not? And I think God honors all those decisions in this fallen world. And scripture backs up that God really cares about how we're parented. I mean, the scripture that comes to mind, the easiest for me, is Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he shall not depart from it. He will not depart from it. So that's in Proverbs, and my understanding is the book of Proverbs is not so much a book of promises, but just general wise principles of how kind of God and life works. So we're more likely to have a child who walks in the right direction if we train them up that way. There's a couple other scriptures I wanted to share, too, from the New Testament. Ephesians 6:4, and you fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. And this one, too, I really like. Colossians 3:21. Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged. A consequence to how someone's parented. Discouragement. It makes me think as a therapist of depression. I'm curious about the original language. Maybe I'll look that up and do another video about some of the words in scripture around emotional mental health in the original language. But clearly, God cares about how we're parented. So I want to use, and I think I noted this in the last video, this toolbox to demonstrate both principles, both areas that affect our mental health, regardless of our faith. And so today, the toolbox, this represents our childhood, okay? Like when we come into this world, it's as if our parents are given a toolbox, and their job is to help fill it. So when we go out in the world, we have what we need. We take the toolbox into our life, and we either have what we need or we don't. Now, does that mean that we can't acquire things or figure out how to find the Home Depot or the whatever store that you need, the hardware store? Of course we can, and the analogy breaks down at some point. But so here's this is one childhood, okay? Let's take a listen. It feels really full and it sounds full. So let's see what's in here. Well, let's see. First we have some nails. What do you do with nails? Well, you need a hammer, right? So we got nails and a hammer. If we had a hammer and no nails, that wouldn't be great. If we had nails and no hammer, that wouldn't be so great. And then, let's see, we have a screwdriver with a bunch of bits and screws. Same thing. We got both tools here. We even have some little mini ones. We have some tape. Paper. Paper's helpful. but paper's not really good unless you have a pen or a pencil. And then we have this whoozy what. I'm not sure what that is. My husband's a carpenter. He knows. I think you clench things and twist them. A wrench, maybe? Okay, so this person had parents that said, you know what? Here's what we need to give our child, so that when they go out on their own, they're going to have what they need. They're going to be ready for things. They're going to be prepared for things. They're going to be able to do what they need to do. And that's wonderful. No parents are perfect, but if you go into your life with a toolbox like that, you're getting off to a pretty good start. Now we have another toolbox here. This feels a little lighter, kind of hollow sounding. Let's see what's in this toolbox. Okay. I see we have a screwdriver here, but I don't see any screws. And then we have this again. What do you do with that? I don't even know. Even I don't know. We got a pen, but I don't think there's any ink in it. Oh, what else do we have? We have a stapler, but there's no staples. And what does this go to? Okay, so these parents, maybe these parents didn't have much of a toolbox either going into their adulthood. Maybe they did the best they could. But we have a toolbox here. We have a person here that's not really prepared for life. They're getting less of a good start. Does that mean that they can't compensate? No. I see it all the time. It's amazing. You see people that grew up in circumstances that are so terrible, and then you see them overcome. And certainly with the Lord, that is so possible. But again, there's different things going on for different people. So that's not always as straightforward as it sounds. Now we're going to get into the second part in a moment, in the next video. And what's interesting is these parts affect each other. So the second part is our brain and our physiology. We're all born in a fallen nature into a world where our brains and our physiology is supposed to function a certain way to be at their optimum, and often don't start out right, or have some sort of predetermined course that isn't going to be quite what it was supposed to be. Or our childhood affects our brain development and our nervous system. So you can't kind of separate the mind and the body there. So that's what the next video is going to be. We're going to talk about the brain and the nervous system and our physiology, and that's impact on mental health.